Hi, I'm James, this is Malt, and today we're going to upgrade my Ultimaker 2 with a new extruder.
I've had my printer for 2 years, but over the last couple of weeks I found that it's had some problems finishing prints. Normally the first few layers would work well, but after that it just stopped. I put it down to the extruder, and this is what I'm changing. You can get official Ultimaker upgrades, but I went for the one by Bondtech. Now, I'd already made some changes to my extruder before, as you can see here. This is a custom design by Robert, which you can find on Umagine. It uses the same parts as the original Ultimaker extruder drive, but still suffers from the same problem. The plastic can end up getting chewed up by the knurled wheel on the extruder motor, and that causes prints to fail. I started off by lowering the build platform, but actually I didn't need to do this, and you'll see a little bit later on why that is. You do need to remove the material, and if you've got a printer you probably know how to do that. So we're just going to sit back and wait for the 12 minutes for that to happen. Okay, time lapse. Robert's upgrades to the Ultimaker feed, it does mean that you can just pull the filament out, which is a little bit quicker than having to wait for the motor to do it for you. Then it's on to disassembly. There's two M3 screws, one on the side and one on the back, that hold an internal cover over the drive motor. I'm using an iFixit toolkit here that's got the right bits, as well as a Wera tool check that I really like. So off to work. Lots of screws, and you can see here where I moved the build plate back up, why it probably wasn't necessary in the beginning. Taking off the control panel cover, unclipping the old extruder motor drive, plugging in the new one, and then putting everything back together. I also took the chance to get a little bit of the dust out from the side using a can of compressed air. And you can see that the new extruder drive bolts onto the back using a little foam insulating pad to help reduce the noise. Connect up the drive, put everything back in place, and that's it. Jumping back into the computer, it's time to download Cura. I'm using version 15.046, which is what they suggest on the Bondtech instructions. And we're going to use that to install some custom firmware for the Ultimaker, made by Tinkerno. The Bondtech instructions will tell you where to get it. So once you have, jump back into Cura and get ready to upload the custom firmware to your Ultimaker. It'll warn you not to do it, but just ignore that, go ahead. After a minute or two, you'll be ready to start changing the settings on the Ultimaker itself. You might notice a change on the front panel, but either way, go into Advanced, Preferences, and then Motion Settings. You've got to change both the motor current and the axis steps per minute for the extruder. Now, one's quite quick and the other takes a really long time. So just settle in, and once you hit that number, make sure you hit store, because you don't want to do this again. And that's it. Those are all the settings you need to change on the printer. But if, like me, you use Simplify 3D to do your slicing, then make sure you change some settings here as well. The first test for the extruder is going to be changing the material. Now, when you do that, it reverses first, so as long as it makes a sound, it probably means you've done things right. But the next step is where you could fall foul. Don't worry, if you've got the settings wrong, then the plastic will probably not go far enough rather than going too far. So just watch it as it comes through, and if you need to turn the power off to stop it damaging anything, you can always do that. I found that mine stopped a bit shorter than it did previously with my old extruder motor. You might find at the beginning that the filament doesn't come out as a consistent stream, so just give it a couple of seconds, and then you'll be ready to get on to the next part. Looks like things are starting to work, but just to be sure, I wanted to print something. So I jumped onto Umagine and downloaded this box with print-in-place hinges created by user Watson. I took it into Simplify 3D, which, as I said, is the slicing software I use. Now, you can use anything, but I became a bit frustrated with how slow Cura can be at slicing different models, and Simplify really is fast. Just be sure to check your temperatures are right. And also, your motor current. Make sure it's set to 1000 here. And then we're ready to go. I saved the code directly to my 3D printer server, which is running Octopi on a Raspberry Pi. And once there, I jumped onto the interface and clicked print. Now, I was understandably a bit nervous at the beginning of the sprint, so I wanted to make sure that little bit of plastic there didn't ruin the start of it. And you'll see me reach it in just a second. Hey, come here. No, sorry, you can't be part of this. Now, time to sit back and watch.
Okay, so here's the final product. While I've got a box, more importantly, I've got a printer that works, and works better than ever. Thanks for sticking around for the video. If you've got a couple of seconds, just hit that like button, subscribe, or leave a comment below. It makes such a difference to small channels like mine. I'll see you next time.